Visit XM 103. It's Erik Nagel.
Back here on It's Erik Nagel, that is me. Giddles is here with me.
What up?
And Matt is living it up on the other side of the pond, as they say. He's over in London. He should be back next week. We all should be back next week for a brand new live in-studio show of It's Erik Nagel.
Ooh.
Where are we moving on? We're doing part 2 of the San Diego Comic-Con coverage. We're going to go over to the people who run Project UROK. I speak with Jenne Jaffe, who is the founder, and Sarah Hartshorne. She's the vice president of Project UROK and production coordinator. Now, this is interesting because when you think of Comic-Con, you don't really see much stuff in there as far as causes and what have you, except for this one where they were going around. And they're doing a cool thing here. They made it's a nonprofit organization, but they made a place online where if you can't talk to people, or maybe you can't afford decent health care or something like that, right? You suffer from some kind of mental illness or whatever. They created a place online that you can go to and talk with other people who may share in the same things that you're going through. People post videos talking about their experiences and trying to help other people. Now, they're not giving medical advice. They're not diagnosing you. They're not doing any of that stuff. But they do provide material to help you find the help that you need. They have a database to help you find the help that you need. You need to go if you don't know where to go. Those kind of things there. One thing I have to point out there, the interview was a little bit longer, but Jenne is a huge Doctor Who fan. And I told her I just did interviews with Peter Capaldi, who's the current Doctor Who, and she freaked out. She's like, which microphone did he use? I'm like, this one. So she was already talking into a different mic, and she grabbed the one out of my hand and switched it. She's like, this is the mic he talked at. Like, she was really... Wow. Yeah, it was cool.
I don't know if that's terrifying.
No, it was cool to see her freak out over that. I was like, okay, here, take the microphone.
Was she smelling the seat he sat in, too?
It was funny. It was a fun exchange and everything, but what happened is when she yanked the mic, it kind of pulled the cable, so I don't have a portion of the interview.
Oh, no.
So we're going to join it at a portion that I deemed salvageable for so we could still air it and everything, because I'd feel horrible that we went through all that and couldn't at least air the interview. Anyway, go online, check out projecturok.org.
And that's actually spelled U-R, like the letters.
The letters, yeah. Young kids know how to text, so they don't write words anymore. It's the letter U, the letter R, the letter O, and the letter K. .org. Pretty simple. So let's try to join somewhere in the conversation with the lovely ladies from Project UROK.
It's Erik Nagel at San Diego Comic-Con.
And people almost invariably say, I want to get on camera now. And Sarah was actually one of the people who didn't know if she wanted to be on camera. And she was one of the people behind helping the videos come together. So hold on, I'm going to pass this off to you real quick.
Well, I'm going to switch, just because of the cable length, I'm going to switch. You're going to get the non-Peter Capaldi mic.
At least I got to talk into it. That's the important thing.
And this is Sarah. She's the vice president of Project UROK.
Yes.
This is Sarah. She's the vice president of Project.
It was amazing. He is an amazing spokesperson, and our crew is also great. And Charlie Purdom is our director and also our editor, and Waylon Bell is our DP and AD, and everyone has multiple titles. Everyone's at least 2 things, and Jenny's about 12. And it was such a great shoot, and I wasn't there. I couldn't be in LA for the shoot, which is my least favorite thing. I hate not being places. But our crew is great. Yeah, and they're just very empathetic, and I think people find that being in a place where everyone is not only understanding in a fan way, or in a just thinking that you're great, but in a really like visceral, personal, connective way, it makes it a lot easier. Also, like Jenny said, Will is great, and he's so articulate, and he's so honest, and just such a great example of how being yourself and being honest makes people interested in your story and want to connect with you. And our editor had his work cut out for him. He had such a great interview, and he had so many great things to say, and it was such a fun shoot. We did a lot of great shoots out in LA, and we've done a lot of great things out in New York. And set days are just fun. They're surprisingly fun and funny and lighthearted, and we all are like laughing, and just it's a big mental illness bonding day.
So let's recap here with Project UROK. Go back to Jenne here. To help with depression and this kind of, is it a disorder? It's not a disease,
well,
right?
so this is interesting. I think a lot about terminology and the way we talk about our mental health.
Right.
And I think there's a lot of stigma surrounding the phrase mental illness, which I choose to use. And I think that a lot of people, I honestly think that however you have to refer to it in order to feel comfortable, that's the way you should refer to it. As in all things, you get to sort of define what labels or no labels you want to use. I think that referring to it as mental illness is powerful because it includes the word illness. And I think that we have this idea that our mental health and our physical health are not intertwined in some way.
Okay.
And the reality is that most mental illnesses result because of brain chemistry, and that's a physical ailment. And we just don't prioritize our mental health in the same way we prioritize our physical health. We don't think of them as being on equal footing. But it would be unthinkable to tell somebody with a broken leg to just keep walking on it. And
Right.
it's equally unthinkable to tell someone with depression to get over it. So I think that...
which is also,
yeah.
Not to cut you off, but which is a lot of, I guess, the turmoil that younger people go through, because I guess I'm kind of skeptic on it too, because if I would see somebody and if it wasn't severely crippling to the person, I'd be like, yeah, it's in your head. It's like, you got to get over it. You got to move on. So I'm imagining most parents are going to don't know how to deal with it with their kids. And they said, you stop being dramatic, get over it, just focus on this and move on with your life.
Yeah, I think it's really hard. I mean, we want to start doing more videos with people who are the parents, siblings, friends, significant others of people who deal with mental illness, because it is really hard to know what to say or do that'll help, because sometimes it is really frustrating. And I think the biggest thing to remember is however frustrating it is for you, it is so much more frustrating for that person.
Right.
And there really isn't any just getting over it most of the time.
With your project, what are you including as far as the mental illness? Like, what are the divisions that that you could list that people are dealing with that you're trying to help?
Well,
because mental illness,
right?
Even though it's one of those words that some people choose, but it's very broad too.
Right. Here's what I think is important. I think that on the spectrum of mental illness, there are things that on the spectrum to talk about and things that are less socially acceptable to talk about. I'm very lucky. The things I struggle with are generally pretty socially acceptable to talk about. Anxiety, OCD, depression. And I think that if you have something like bipolar disorder or schizophrenia, you are a little bit, or a personality disorder, say, I think you're in a little bit trickier footing. And I think that people are a little less willing to talk about it, or they're a little more like, if you have this, I'm going to stay away. Something's wrong with you. I think it's really important for people who are anywhere on that spectrum to own the label mental illness, because then it becomes inclusive. Like, I think there are a lot of people out there who say, well, I don't define myself as mentally ill because I only have anxiety. And I'm like, but you saying that is like saying like, oh, you're still right. Those people over there are weird. Everybody's struggling with something. And I think that we can't marginalize anyone. I think that we can't marginalize. So we are trying to provide a platform for people with all backgrounds and all experience and all diagnoses to tell their stories. Obviously, I can't speak to the experiences of everyone, and I don't pretend to or want to. I want to create a platform for people to come and talk about what's going on with them, and we don't discriminate based on diagnosis.
So it's an area for people to share their stories and their experiences, but you're not, just so people know, you're not giving diagnose. You're not giving treatments or ways to say, like, if you do this, this will help correct, what you feel is wrong with you.
Absolutely not.
This is just an area for people to share and say, look, I've had this experience similar to what you're going through, and I've tried these things. Perhaps you should try it. You're not giving direct medical advice.
No, and we're not
giving,
right. And we don't. We're
not giving, right. You just got to put that out there.
Right.
Even if
absolutely.
Even if you have the best intentions, if you don't say it nowadays, people go there, well, I was under the impression that, and you ruined my life.
And there is a lot of legal language on our site disclaiming us from that. There's also, but we do also have mental health professionals on our board. And whenever we receive, occasionally emails or messages that make us a little concerned, and we'll sort of kick it up the ladder and be like, what is the best response? And we're not helping to diagnose. We're not helping to treat necessarily. What we're doing is trying to create a safe space where it's safe enough to talk about it, that hopefully the people who utilize our site then go seek actual professional help if they need it. And what we have had people say that, like, thanks to watching our videos, they've been able to tell a parent, or they've been able to tell We have a lot of resources on our site, and we've had people say, like, that's how I found my new therapist. And it's like, great, this is perfect. But what I really wanted when I was sort of in the midst of some pretty severe depression was just some reassurance that I wasn't alone. And I think that's sometimes the most valuable thing. Sarah, you look like you want to say something.
Yeah, and this is Sarah. And isolation is also one of the 4 leading causes of suicide for teenagers. And I think one thing that we say a lot is, like, nobody can make somebody else kill themselves. It's really easy to, I think, blame suicide on external causes, but really what it is a physiological phenomenon going on in their brain. And if they feel alone and uncared for, that's where the real danger lies. And so what we're trying to do is just combat that isolation and combat that feeling of being, the only one that feels a certain way. And Jenny and I talk about this a lot. People go back and forth between feeling like they're totally not special, but they're also the only one that feels this way. And that's just not true. Like, you are both special and also not alone. And that feeling of community and connection is so possible.
I almost, in my head while you were saying that, I almost said, you're both special and not special at the same time. I was like,
exactly.
That's horrible. And then I realized it's me saying that.
It's true in a lot of ways, because, like, your experience is your own, and it's important, and I want to hear about it. I look at all the user videos that we get, and I love them. Tweet it to me. Tell me your story. I want to know what it is, because I'm interested, and I always want to hear it. But at the same time, there are other people that have been through it and have found things that worked and have found a way to manage it. I was diagnosed with PTSD this year. It's fresh. It's new. It's hard. But it's also not my whole life. It's just a part of me, and it's something that I'm managing a lot, and I think I'm doing pretty well.
Since you're open with this, can I at least ask you, because that's different than what you hear most people have to have PTSD, unless it's the most common military service, things like that.
Right.
Where did yours come from?
Mine came from childhood trauma, and it's interesting because PTSD is in a lot of ways external, because it comes from things that happen to you.
It's forced upon you, yeah.
It's forced upon you, but it is also still physiological. There's still, and this is something, we just released a great video. Vanessa Bellew made it, and she talks a lot about this. It changes the way that your brain processes information. So, for example, when somebody is experiencing a flashback or a dissociative episode or is triggered by something, that is, she calls it the lizard brain. It is the lizard brain, your brain saying you are in danger right now. And so my whole body and whole system will think that it is in danger. And it's something that you then have to train your brain to tell your body, nope, that's not true. You're not actually in danger. You're not in that situation again. But I think it's like, when it's in early childhood, it's something that, or even, adolescence or late childhood, like, that is how your brain learns to look at the world. And so, what therapy and medication and various treatments do is they just train you to train your brain to say, nope, you're okay.
And I also think you were pretty resistant to talking about it because of what you said, which is you were thinking, like, I've never been in a war. Mm-hmm. I've never been shot at. I've never watched these horrible things. So I think it can be hard. Most
people hear of that and they're like, well, were you a cop? Were you in the military? What's your issue here? And to say, no, it's not that. And then they say, oh, that's something completely different. That's only reserved for people who have served and had traumatic experiences.
Right. And that's part of what we're trying to do, is to diversify the portrayals of mental illness, right?
So let's try to help some other people here. Let's give out all the information. Where do they go?
ProjectUROK.org is our website. We're on social media at Project UROK on everything, because the first thing I did when I came up with the name over a year ago, basically, was I just got all the social media. We didn't start using it till like a month ago. And they can find me on Twitter at Jenne Jaffe. Sarah's at Sarah B. Hartshorne. Sarah's at Sarah B. Hartshorne. But if you tweet at Project UROK, we have a social media manager named Jose who's amazingly responsive and really great. On the site, you can also find information about how to participate, how to make your own video, how to write a blog. Sarah just correctly pointed out in another interview that if you're not comfortable making a video where it's you on camera, like, make whatever kind of video you want. That again, it's your platform, it's your expression, and if you're capable of donating, we will always appreciate it. as we are a nonprofit, and all of our donations are tax deductible, and that information is on the site as well. Yeah, that's pretty much the best ways to get involved.
Yeah.
Am I missing anything?
No, that's it.
And here's how I know that you are taking this seriously, despite your stories and everything that's helping you two personally. You have bracelets.
We do. Sarah is and Heidi over there are modeling our what are those kind of bracelets called?
Wristbands?
They're like
Yeah,
the wristbands, the rubber
wristbands.
wristbands, like the rubber cause wristbands. And as a present, my mom had Project UROK bracelets made up for me. We also have manicures. That's how we're taking it really seriously. Look at
Oh,
those.
look at that.
I can tell you're
Doesn't
you're
match
like
any of your outfits, but it looks
does
very
not.
nice.
They definitely do not. They're like glittery.
But it's Comic-Con.
It's Comic-Con. Oh, I know.
Do whatever you want.
Sarah has been. We have to wrap up.
Project UROK.
Yes.
It's a mental health area where you can go and you can feel comfortable explaining what might be going through your head and what's going on in your life. And there's other people there with similar experiences trying to help you out. And again, just so you know, they're not offering any medical advice or diagnosis or treatments or anything. It's just a place for you to go and talk and
we have
share
resources
experiences.
that we've curated by hand, things that we would have wanted to use, things that we know have been helpful to use to help you find actual treatment
There you go.
near you. Yeah.
So hopefully somebody hears this, they reach out to you, and you can start
We would
changing
love
some
that so
lives
much.
there.
Thank
That'd be
you.
great. Jenny and Sarah, thank you so much.
Sirius 206 XM 103. It's Erik Nagel.